All right, hey guys, I'm Kelly Walker Slaughter, and this is Word First 931, and we are live in Coffee County. Can I get a yeah? All right, this is a new space for me, so thank y'all for letting me come out here. We're at the Coffee County Veterans Building. All right, so thank y'all for tuning in. Again, if you do also have questions, and please comment at the video below. But with me right now, running for the 4th congressional seat, we have to the left of me, we have Thomas E. Davis, and then to the, oh, go ahead, and to the right of me, we have Harold, aka Rocky Jones. And just real quickly, gentlemen, because I am a mom, so if I have to get rowdy and put you down, I will. So when you get to, we're going to start off by y'all first starting off with 5 minutes to do a quick introduction, and then 3 minutes, 1 minute, 3 minutes. Thank you. 3 minutes to answer the questions that people have written for you guys. Now, guys, if you have not written any questions, Miss Deanna over here has it. Just raise your hand, and she will do that as well. And then Cindy, if anybody does comment, please let Deanna know as well. So, right. And I do already pre-apologize. Whoever I get to read this question with me, because this happened last time. If it is hard to read and you know it's your question, just go ahead, Kenny, and raise your hand. Because I know that he has if you have doctor's handwriting, I do apologize for that. But starting off, does it matter who starts it off, boys?
You're moderating.
Okay, so let's go to the right of me. Harold Rocky Jones, start with your first 5 minutes, and you can either stand right there or come up here. What would you like
I'll
to do?
stand right up there because
Okay.
I'm not too sure about that mic right now. It seems to be cutting in and out.
Okay.
All right. Welcome all, and thank you for coming in tonight. I'm Harold Rocky Jones. I'm a candidate for the U.S. Congress, Tennessee District 4. I'm pro-life with the exceptions of rape, incest, and medical viability of the mother or the baby. I'm also pro-2A. I'm pro-farm and agriculture, pro-veterans, fiscally conservative. If I were voted in, I would not vote for any more CRs. The 12 appropriations have to be passed. I'm also running on rural health transformation program because of our rural health issues and the problems that we're seeing in that area as well. Infrastructure, our highways, along with our bridges in the area, need some serious looking into. And then the control of the middle class squeeze. We're all experiencing that in the 15 counties that this particular seat represents in South Middle Tennessee. So a new era for District 4 starts, okay? Friends, look down at the screen on your phone, whether you're in here or on screen. It's 2026. But if you look at your representation in Washington, it feels like we've been stuck in a loop for 15 years. For 15 years, the incumbent has told us that the fiscal discipline is enough, that you can't balance a budget on the backs of shrinking middle class while resting on the country moves forward. Tennessee's 4th district is facing significant economic decay. I provided information on the desk to everyone here in the audience. That looks like the cold hard facts. Our automotive manufacturing sector, the very heartbeat of the Middle Tennessee, is reeling from a local impact loss of $10 billion, while my opponent gives speeches about red tape, workers at Nissan Smyrna plant, and our local auto parts suppliers are facing temporary shutdowns and layoffs because we haven't secured the supply chains for the 21st century training that they need. Look at our aerospace and engineering sector. Arnold Air Force Base is the anchor of our community. Yet right now, high-value defense contracts are shrinking. We are looking at a 1.2 billion confirmed negative impact for fiscal 2025 alone. That happened. That's not just a number. Those are thousands of secondary jobs in our small towns and communities that are being threatened by federal budget fights. In healthcare, we have neighbors working their hearts out, yet we are living through rural healthcare crisis. Tennessee leads the nation per capita in rural hospital closures. Over 16 rural hospitals have closed and shuttered in this state since 2010. 15 years of no from the incumbent has built a single clinic or stopped our rural families from driving for basic care. And look at our farmers. Our district is a heavy hitter in hardwood, yet we are #1 in the state for farm loss. Between 2017 and 2022, we lost nearly 10% of Tennessee farms. Small-scale farm counts are disappearing while our representatives tells 12,000 men and women to wait and see. Automation cuts human labor and cost skyrockets. Even our logistics and warehousing hubs, once our surest bet, are hitting a wall. The Amazon effect has cooled. Our central hubs have become log jams. We're seeing a $5 billion hit in this sector because we haven't invested in the infrastructure to keep us moving. 15 years is a career generation, but it shouldn't be a lifetime appointment of stagnation.
5 seconds.
I'm Rocky Jones, and I'm running for Congress to the 4th District of Tennessee. I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Next up, we have Thomas E. Davis.
I'll stand up here a little bit because I move around sometimes. First of all, thank you all again for coming. I do appreciate you. Appreciate the candidates for throwing your hats in the ring, stepping into the arena. Kelly, thank you for moderating this, taking time out of your day and your family too. As you heard, my name is Thomas E. Davis. I am a candidate in the Republican primary for the U.S. House of Representatives. I am a Christian. I am a conservative. I am a U.S. Army combat veteran, husband, father, and servant leader. I wore the Army uniform for almost 25 years, serving in some of the most difficult and demanding conditions that our nation can put a soldier into. In each of those roles, leadership was not a title, it was a responsibility to be present and accountable and to place the mission and the people first. Unfortunately, that's not what we're getting out of our incumbent. One example is town halls, which again, thank you all for coming to this. Our incumbent has not had a town hall since 2013. 13 years now without standing in front of we the people and answering questions directly. When I'm your representative, quarterly town halls. So we can sit down, you can look me in the eye, ask the tough questions, and get straight answers. Another example of this is talking about leadership. If y'all are unaware, the VA clinic in McMinnville is closing down. We had a town hall last week about this very issue. Veterans were invited in to discuss it, and without a bunch of detail on it, the point of bringing this up is our representative, our incumbent, had the opportunity to show up and actually stand shoulder to shoulder with the veterans that he claims to support. Instead, it was more important for him to go to North Dakota on the personal request of an Air Force general up there to talk about missiles. That clinic services 1,870 veterans. Some second and third order effects of that closing is we are being pushed out to other clinics. Full disclosure, as a veteran, I received my care from that McMinnville clinic. So I did get that call. But that's some leadership or lack thereof that we're seeing out of our representative. So, and a couple examples of me and my service, 2 times I assumed platoon sergeant responsibilities in a theater of operation. For those of you that have served, I'm sure we can agree, not ideal conditions. Successful on that. A couple other positions that prepared me for this, just as a problem solver. I was a drill sergeant. I was also a recruiter, leadership instructor. After leaving the Army, I served as a police officer for a short period of time and then moved to Tennessee in 2017 to be closer to family. So without going into more detail about me, I like to get down to business, which is why you all are here, is to listen to us answer the questions. So with that being said, again, thank you all for being here, showing up, and participating in what is our republic. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for that. Remember, now we're going to go to the Q&A. If you do have a question, please raise your hand and Miss Deanna will come to you. Do you want to do one?
I don't want to write it down, it's too complicated to write down, I just want to say it. I just want to ask.
Well, you know what? Start us off, bro. Come on.
We wrote her a question.
I got it.
Oh, you got it?
I don't care which one you go
Can we
first.
take a mic back there?
Yeah.
I'll speak up, I'm very loud.
We
Yeah, I got it.
want the camera to pick it up. Thanks, Lamar.
Like I said, I don't care who goes first. I just pulled something up on my phone. Senators and congressmen that have been in office 59 years, 53 years, 52 years, 51 years, and I wrote 3 names down. Chuck Schumer, 45 years, Nancy Pelosi, 38 years, Joe Biden, 48 years. We see what they've done. As president, you can only get 2 terms and serve for 8 years. What would you do, once elected, to put term limits on senators and congressmen?
go.
Yes. So it's kind of hard to do anything as a one person, one congressman up in Washington, D.C. You're not going to do it by yourself. You're going to have to. You're going to have.
We'll switch.
Sorry.
Switch. No, you are fine.
We're going to have to work together, and it's going to take the American people to push this. They're going to have to really want this and make sure that they're holding all of their leaders in Congress accountable. Thank you. And it's easy to do. Don't vote for them. Don't vote for them.
Well, in those states, they keep voting these clowns in, so if you did term limits,
We can do term limits just by voting, but yes, sir, I'm 1,000% for term limits. There's no way we should have people, I'm sorry, elderly up there that they don't even know their names anymore. They're being walked around, they're being shuttled around in wheelchairs. That's not the look of America. We gotta have strong leadership up there, and we need the term limits in place to make sure that that happens. We need fresh ideas. Everybody that I have spoken to, everyone that has spoken to while out campaigning and so forth has reiterated that same frustration with term limits.
Got to get it on the ballot. How do you get it on the ballot?
Good question. We're going to have to do it as a whole, from the constituents on up, because they're not going to do it. I doubt it. There's too much money involved. There's too much campaign money involved as well. You got to get that money out as well.
Would you sponsor legislation and bring it to the table though?
Yes, ma'am. And I'm sure my opponent here would likely do the same. I'm 57 years old. I've retired early. I'm a retired military, retired firefighter, and also a retired senior emergency management planner for the SNS. I don't want to have to work till I'm 70. I'm done. I'm done now, but I want to be able to come and make these changes that I've shown that our district is in trouble with, and go make those changes and come home.
5 seconds.
Thank you.
I think we got to make sure we turn on.
Okay, so Junior's off. Okay,
All right, with me.
Thomas,
So let me make sure I understand the question is term limits and what would I do? Okay, first of all, you have my personal commitment to 12 years. That's what I've been saying the whole time I've been doing this. So there's a personal commitment from me. There's folks in this room and outside that have my number will hold me to that. The next one is how do we do it? Right now, there's a convention of states. That is gonna be the best route to handle this. Get the convention of states going, and how do we get Tennessee on that part of it? I believe we are, but we have to keep doing it until we get enough states. As far as carrying legislation to do it, absolutely. But I agree. I don't think a lot of these folks that, we heard about, it's a very difficult hill to do, but I would carry legislation for those term limits. We got to cycle people out. Military, you change duty stations here and there, and what it does is give a fresh perspective, which is what we've got going on in this race. Our incumbent, again, this is his 8th term. He initially ran on 12 years. He ran on term limits initially, and here we are, in his 8th term. So does that answer the questions? Like I said, my personal commitment about the convention of states and then me carrying legislation, is that all of them?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Next question, again, starting off with Mr. Rocky Jones. What are your views on solar farms in the state of Tennessee versus maintaining the land for agricultural purposes?
Outstanding question. This goes into one of the things that I mentioned earlier about the central middle Tennessee squeeze. And we're losing farms at a rate of 66 farms a day. We're down, right now, we're the #1 state for farm loss by percentage.
Wow.
That hits hard. So, and what we're doing is we're going and we're building subdivisions. We're building these big old apartment buildings, and it just doesn't stop. So there's got to be something in place where we're protecting our farmers. There's a bill that they want to get passed where we're not selling these farms off to big corporations, and we're not selling the farms off to other nations because they're being bought up by them. That's in your backyard. We got to protect our farmers. We got to protect our cattle that we have. This is how we feed our families. Thank you.
I agree with that.
So the question again was my opinion on the solar.
What are your views on solar farms in the state of Tennessee versus maintaining the land of agricultural purposes?
Right, and that's an excellent question. My view on it is, I'm not a fan of the solar. It actually is worse for our environment than anything else. Now, legislatively, you gotta look at this from that landowner's view, because that's something very near and dear to us here in Tennessee, is our own property rights. So if a landowner, whether it's farmland or whatever, wants to sell their land or lease their land for these things, that's a thing, unless it's already zoned for it. So this would be more, if you're trying to prevent that, a local zoning issue. Federally, yeah, I believe we could, and I would carry legislation to restrict the purchase of those lands from foreign entities. So like I said, it's a balance there. And I know headed to, I was driving out to Bedford County the other day, and I know, that whole stretch of road there, they're cutting it out. We won't be able to see it too much in the summer, but because they left the row of trees. But yeah, that's a thing, and it'll come crunch time when we can't eat. So like I said, that one, federally, yes, let's look at these overseas or these foreign entities, whether they're corporations or company or nations that are buying up our land, and squash that. And then, like I said, we got to push it down to your local county levels as far as any zoning to stop that stuff and keep the farmland. But like I said, you as the landowner, it's your land. So thank you.
And now we're gonna reverse it back over to you, Tom. How do you plan to address the affordability crisis? Seniors can't afford, is it COLI? C-O-L? Young people's salaries can't keep up, taxes are high, gas is high, and food is expensive.
So this is affordability
Yeah.
of everything. Okay. But basically, it comes to the federal government has overreached. So we've got to start peeling it back. So the less of our tax money that we send to Washington DC, the better off we are. So cut taxes. And we do have to be very careful with some of this stuff because we can't just pull the rug from folks because of how things have been set up. So, and also how do we address affordability is all those that are in this country illegally, overstayed their stays, whatever, they need to go away. We also need to stop accepting the refugees. And that's where I would carry the legislation and or sign on, if they haven't done it, with Chip Roy has got the PAWS Act. We need to stop it. There will be some carve-outs for some folks, but the baseline needs to be, we're not taking any more refugees, we're full. We need to get some of these folks either assimilated to our values, Christian values in this nation, or send them packing. We need to vet. We need to vet those that we have given citizenship to, and it's constitutionally, it's up to the Congress to do these things. And what we're getting right now is very weak leadership. Nobody will carry this stuff. I mean, look at what we got going on with the SAVE Act. Like, are you guys up there kidding me? They will probably take their 2 weeks off without it passed. That's my guess. I will be super shocked if they don't. So that's how we attack it, is we get the federal government out of our business and put it down to Thank you.
Would you like me to reread it to you, Mr. Jones?
One more time, please.
Okay. So the question was, how do you plan to address the affordable crisis? Seniors can't afford the COL. Young people's salaries can't keep up, and taxes are high, gas is high, and food is expensive.
I was just talking to my wife about this, and one of the things that I talked to her about is these prices are never coming down. Once they go up, these big corporations are not going to turn around and turn their prices back down, okay? The gas prices will go up and down. With the gas prices, once they start drilling more, which they need to be doing, producing more refineries would help in that matter as well. We have one refinery that's going to take place in Texas, but that's not enough. All of our refineries, our infrastructure for gas and oil is way out of date. It comes back to infrastructure and getting that fixed. That's on the national level. Here at home, I talked about the aerospace engineering, the automotive manufacturing, the healthcare, the warehousing and logistics issues, and also the agriculture and forestry. All those have a downturn at this point. But what is the opponent doing? Is he bringing any money home that he's allowed to bring home to his constituents for the Tennessee district? I don't know of anything that he's actually brought. He co-sponsored a agriculture bill, but other than that, he hasn't really kept up with the technology and for our automotive and manufacturing and warehousing that needs to take place for the 21st century. Because with the new things coming online like AI, we're going to be possibly losing jobs there as well. And if we're not prepared for that, that's going to be a serious issue. We need leadership up at DC that understands this and that is willing to put bills in legislature forward, protecting us and making sure that we have the money and bringing back the earmarks and the federal grants and the formula funding that takes place each year. That's not happening. I don't feel like that's good enough. I'll do more.
Okay, now back to you, Mr. Jones. This question said, well, it's kind, I guess it's a question. It says property taxes for seniors.
I know where this is going. Property tax for seniors, this is one of the things that I'm big on too. Well, once you hit age 65 and you've been into a state and that you've been living in for 10 years or more, why are we still paying taxes when we paid all of our stuff off? No. Done with that. Okay? Done with that at the federal level, and I'm done with that at the state level. And also, take that a little bit further, taxing the 100% disability for veterans. I wouldn't be doing that as well. That needs to go away as well. Those people they've given their lives, they put their lives on the line for many years. Give them a break.
There you go.
Thank you.
So unfortunately, those property taxes are a state issue. Federally, we'd be hard pressed to do anything with it. However, what we can do is with our individual taxes, we've got 6,000 pages of tax code. Absolutely insane, the amount of taxes. So we can get peeled back our income taxes. And my first response would be, let's get rid of the 16th Amendment, right? Yeah, the 16th Amendment and go back to the states apportioning it, or the federal government putting the portions on the states and the states figure it out. Now, and the question was about our property taxes. I think at the federal level, at least in the district, we can advocate for those counties and any state taxes to be done away with. Because at the end of the day, yeah, you go to the bank, you get your mortgage, you pay it off. Did you really pay it off? No, you did not. And that is absolutely the wrong answer. So as that congressional rep, I can advocate for it. But federally, there's really not much that can be done as far as legislation, I believe. Thank you.
Okay. So, all right, so yes, property taxes is not something that you can do anything about. So a little bit of background, Department of HUD, Housing and Urban Development. All right, as we know, they service a lot of elderly people and obviously those in the position of welfare state. Locally, every county and some cities have a HUD department. It is your local housing authority. Right now, in several of our counties in the state of Tennessee, in your districts, they are underfunded, number one, but number two, they're overcrowded. They have a 300-man waiting list. This money does not come from local coffers, this comes from federal coffers. But also, people who are going into those homes do not have, once they get in there, they stay in there for the rest of their lives. Whether they're 18 when they get that apartment or they're 65 when they get their apartment. What would you do with the Department of HUD and combating homelessness, number one, but also making sure that we have moving out, moving up, and limiting the taxpayer strain while we combat that?
Okay, goes back to Tosh. If that,
Can we,
Now we go back
Wait,
to Tom.
can you write it down and then we'll come back?
Yeah.
Well, and just to be fair, because the folks that put their questions in ahead
Well,
of
I
time.
should say that has to do with homelessness and taxation. And
Okay, that's fine. Are y'all good with that? Picking up this question from the floor?
It goes to you first, Tom.
Okay, perfect. And thank you for bringing that up about the HUD. I will take this back to one of those things that we can't just pull the rug from people, but constitutionally, it's not up to the federal government to house folks. And this is where we ran into a problem is our homeless, where did the problem come from? It came when the federal government stepped in and tried to do some things. This is stuff that the churches and local folks used to take care of. So this comes back to, again, if the federal government is not pulling so many of our taxes for things they should not be doing, then the local communities can manage it better. And again, and it varies from community to community. I will tell you, when I served as a police officer, the town that I lived in, we did not have a homeless problem. And it's because the town did not put up with it. There were no facilities or anything. Down the road, they did. And they had a very big drug problem. There were a lot of the rehab centers, and it's out of control. But it just comes back to, this is a program we need to be phasing out, really, and get rid of all the illegals. That'll relieve some of the housing. And then again, back down to the local folks to solve some of these problems in the manner that they best see fit. Because what works for, here in Tennessee's 4th Congressional District, I guarantee you those folks in California have got a completely different idea. So it should be a state responsibility for that. And like I said, constitutionally, I believe that's where it is. This is an unconstitutional function of the federal government has got itself into, and we've been duped into it. So that would be my answer to that.
We're what, $39 trillion in debt? $39 trillion. What is the federal government going to be able to do about it? Not a whole lot. They're going to have to start pushing some of this stuff down to the states. They're going to have to start cutting stuff somewhere along the line. We can't keep borrowing money to pay off debts and take away from our kids, our futures. We have to stop. We have to stop somewhere, and we're going to have to make some very hard decisions down the road as far as what programs are going to be cut. Some of it's going to hurt a lot. We cannot just keep throwing money overseas as well. A lot of that money is going overseas, where we should be taking that money and bringing it home and helping ourselves out. We send way too much money overseas to foreign countries for who knows what. There's a lot of earmarks that they put in. Why would we do that? As congressional, if you're holding the purse, why are you sending money overseas? They're pet projects. They're going to line some elected officials' pockets. Not a good situation. So yeah, stop sending money overseas. We can take care of our own people. That's my answer.
All right. Question goes back to you. This is a 3-parter, but we're just going to do this one at a time. Okay. What is the top issue you hear from Coffee County residents and across the 4th District that you are most committed to fixing?
Good question.
Funding. And I say that because we're losing a lot of money and we're not bringing it back home. Our opponent that is in DC now has had 15 years to get this funding to come back. He has 15 counties now. It was a little bit less, but they've changed the voting district a little bit. However, there's 15 counties. He gets 15 earmarks. There better be 15 earmarks put in for those counties and bring that federal money back. There's also formula funding that takes place annually too, so that brings a little bit of money back. But you need somebody loud. how many people hear anything that Scott Desjardins is doing up in Washington DC?
Taking our money.
Yeah, nothing. Again, 2013 was his last, town hall. No, we have to have somebody that's loud, and anybody that knows me in the Coffee County or Manchester area, we have a Facebook page that has 51,000 people on it, and I'm pretty loud about the political situation here at home, how we can take care of things. We need a voice in DC. We need a loud voice. Thank you.
So the biggest issue that I've heard, Coffee County and throughout the district is accessibility of our representative. Again, we just heard, and I said it, 2013 is the last town hall. So what do I do to fix that? I'm doing it. And my commitment, again, to you all is quarterly town halls throughout the district. So again, we can sit down and discuss these issues, and I'm not caught unaware of things going on in the district, you know, if there's any issues out there. But that is by far the number one, and typically what I talk about the most is that accessibility. We always say, you know, it's like a Sasquatch, you know, Bigfoot sighting if somebody sees him. So that, again, that's my commitment to you, and the answer is what I'm doing is right here, right now. There you go.
Back to Tom. Second question is, you describe yourself as bringing new blood to District 4. What is one big way you approach, the way your approach would differ from the current representative or other candidates?
I was trying to think if I could describe myself as new blood. I would be, yes, I mean, I can see that. My approach is problem solving, going to get it done. An example I will use is in Bedford County, which I know we're coffee, but just as the example for, you know, coming up on 16 years now, the Tennessee walking horse industry has struggled out there. And the only thing we're getting is placeholder legislation. And I've talked to them out there, and it's a little more nuanced, but to me, I try and break it down into its simplest form, and they get after it. So what we need is to attack the problem that we're having out there and bring legislation that will help alleviate that and fix that. So it's a different set of eyes. And like I said, my mentality and through my life have been put into the difficult, demanding positions and have succeeded at it and been very successful. So and one of the things I hear is like, all right, it's going to take you that first term to 2 years to figure it out. I'll tell you right now, taking over platoon sergeant duties in a theater of operation, I did not have 2 years to figure out some stuff. I had to get to know those folks right then and there, and we had to go do the thing. So, and we did very successfully. So that would be the new set of eyes, and how I bring it up is leadership and just that attack it and get it done mentality. Thank you.
Mr. Jones.
Okay, I have 38 years of federal service, whether it be military or civil service. Again, I retired 24 years military, firefighter for 10 years, and then senior planner for the Strategic National Stockpile. Okay, I wrote a lot. Well, I was in the military. I wrote a lot planning for catastrophes in the United States, medical countermeasures, that kind of stuff. What would I do different than Scott Desjardins? Well, what I would do differently is bring home the bacon. We need funding. We need those earmarks put in, and we need a louder voice up there as well. If you're not being loud, you're not getting anything. We need to be, I'm not going to go up there and just toe the line. That's an important vote you have. Right now it's 218 to 212 or something like, or somewhere along that line. That one vote, they're trying to keep every vote So if you're up there and you have that one vote, use it. Use it to your advantage. Use it to our Tennessee district advantage. What am I getting back for my people back in my district? That's what I would do differently.
I don't know which way to go with this turn. I think it's your turn. Yeah. And if it isn't, I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep up now. I'm gonna put the gavel right there. Okay. Would you support expanding price transparency or Medicare reforms? And how would you protect coverage for seniors and veterans?
Can I,
Sure can.
all right,
Number 3.
do you support expanding price transparency or Medicare reforms, and how would you protect coverage
For seniors and vets.
for seniors and vets?
Okay. President Trump has just been working with the big pharmacies to reduce some of the costs. I would continue with that line. We gotta get big pharmacy out of the pockets of the voters up there. They're making tons of money. You don't go up there and make $184,000 a year and your bank grow to millions of dollars, okay? They're being paid by somebody. They're getting the money from somewhere. Big pharmacy is one of the biggest ones. If you want to reduce costs for our patients, that's where we start. Stop, put the legislation in like they're doing as far as doing any type of stock funds or anything like that with Congress and Senate. Do the same thing as far as the pharmacies taking any big cash from them. That's how we reduce that price. The military should be getting their money and their care through the VA. So we need to make sure that funding is well in place as well. And the seniors, that's going to be a challenge because we have an older generation that's at that level, and we don't have as many young folks that are able to produce the taxes that we need to pay for those type of things. So somewhere, one of the generations is going to get hurt. And we're going to have to plan accordingly and look at the areas that we're funding and see if those are really necessary. Again, if we stop sending so much money overseas, we would be able to pay for this stuff. We could redirect that money right into healthcare. We need to get a healthcare plan in place for, I don't want to say a cross-the-board type healthcare plan, but one of those ones where if you lose a job and you go somewhere else to pick up a new job, and we'll have to do that eventually.
No, I think I'm okay. So this is one of those very difficult conversations that we need to start having, because I'll go to the Constitution, and nowhere in the Constitution does it say that the federal government is responsible for our health care. Now, that being said, we cannot just yoink this stuff from folks. So what we do, again, is we cut like we heard, is the overseas spending. There is absolutely no reason for probably 99% of this money we're sending overseas. So as we transition out of that, and states can pick that up, and then each state, and that gives you some flexibility to go to a different state if they have better health care. But this is one of those things, again, if the federal government is responsible for this, then they're in control, and they can tell you what you need, what you don't need. And we see that in a lot of cases within the VA as well. Socialized medicine is a horrible idea, and that's what this path leads to. So in that interim, yes, we can still keep facilitating for this until we transition out back to some individual responsibility, or states picking this up, or employers was a previous option. A lot of the stuff that we see are controls on us. And if you want to maintain, control of your healthcare, get the federal government out of it. So that's where I am out of that. Like I said, we can't just start pulling this, but this is one of these hard conversations that we need to have. And here in Tennessee, there is a state bill where we're trying to break up this monopoly we have, or close to monopoly, on the pharmaceuticals, where they control all of it, vertical. So we break up that, and then our local pharmacies can compete more. And then also bring some of this manufacturing back with the pharmaceuticals. All this stuff is coming from China. So let's cut that mess out. So that's where I go back to, is the Constitution. And like I said, one of these very difficult conversations that we've got to start having, if as a nation we want to progress and make another 250 years. But again, cut this overseas spending, just knock it off, and then let's transition back to us being responsible for us, or states, local. There's counties that have programs, businesses that have programs for healthcare. So that's my answer. Thank you.
All right, this question goes back to Mr. Davis. Do you support foreign intervention efforts in Iran and, is it Benghazi? Venezuela, sorry.
I am not on board. I will not say that it's an illegal war. Our presidents really, since the beginning, have gone on excursions to do some things. But I'm not a fan of it. I've seen where it leads to. We're being told we have a different plan for it. So while we're in that phase before, he requires funding, it'll play out. I would prefer to see an actual declaration of war, like we used to do it, and it should be done. And then we go do the thing and stop the nation building. Honestly, that's where all of this is going to lose me, is if we put the boots on the ground, leave them on the ground, and we start nation building. We're not good at it. Look at the history. Some of it in this room have seen it firsthand. It's no good. And for Venezuela, that one I think was okay. It was actually the Biden administration that put the warrant out for the guy. What we currently have is a president who is actually doing things. What we've had previously is presidents that are they're not really interested in actually doing things. So that's where I am on Iran and Venezuela. Like I said, Iran, that one's and that's a tough one, because they have engaged us on the battlefield. They have killed Americans. So it's probably time for them to feel some of the wrath, if you will, and then we leave them be, figure it out, because we don't need to be exporting our soldiers, sailors, airmen, marine, our military, our service members there to try and rebuild a nation that time and time again in these regions have shown they don't really want us. So thank you.
I'm 100% for both, and I'll tell you why. When I was in military, I was in intelligence, okay? I did that for 7.5 years overseas. So I know pretty much what happens in the intel community. And then after that, I cross-trained over to what's called command and control, emergency operation centers. I ran bases. I was a superintendent of the base out here at Arnold Air Force Base. The reason why I'm for this, number one, Venezuela, I'm not for socialism and I'm not for communism, period.
There you go.
Number two, Venezuela stole all of our oil companies' infrastructure, and they didn't get nothing for it. So, yes, I don't want that on my back door. Okay. When we were in Iraq, Iran was sending insurgents into Iraq to fight us on the backside of what we were doing up front. They were coming through the back door fighting us that way. The Marines in Lebanon, Hezbollah, all that stuff over there, it's gotta be taken care of. We cannot allow them to have a nuclear weapon because they've said it, and the death to America, death to Israel, they're going to use the nukes. If somebody uses a nuke in that area, it's over. The faith. You want to talk about wars? You hit that area, and you have the Islam, Muslims, and Christians. They're all going to want to fight then. They're going to be really irate. You got to get that all under control over there. You can't let them control the oil that's coming out of the Hormuz Strait either. And they said again and again that they were going to shut that down. They have shut it down for a time period. We'll open it back up.
You have the gavel.
Yeah.
Okay, this is they have 4 questions on this card, so I'm gonna give you 2 of them because they're real short. How would you lead your House colleagues in zero baseline budgeting instead of simply increasing previous year's budget? And how many terms will you consider no?
Question.
Let me read.
Yeah.
How would you lead your House colleagues in a zero baseline budgeting? I'm not sure what that means.
Whoever wrote this question, can you tell me what you meant by the zero baseline budgeting?
That means that for every department that has a budget, you start their requirement or what they need to spend for the year at 0 and not the previous year and add 18% to it.
Understand. I see. Okay, every year and this drives me insane. This is one of the things I write about, this no CRs. We need the 12 appropriation bills, okay? We need to sit down with the Democrats, work this out, and get it done before, this should already been worked for this year. I guarantee you, when we get to October, it's not gonna happen at the end of the fiscal year. Now, let me tell you what this does, okay? Because I have a great background in this with the military and as a civil service worker, okay? You have to do contracts in the military, in the federal government. You have to do these contracts. Well, if you only get 60 days of money at a time, take a guess what's happening to our infrastructure in the military and the federal agencies. You're only getting 60% of or 60 days at a time, and you just keep kicking the can all the way down the road until you get to the next CR. That doesn't work. You cannot get any big projects done. The base out here, they've lost contracts because we didn't have the full funding for the entire program, and we end up, when you lose those contracts and stuff as well, you can't make those up, and you can't go rehire those people that you could have hired if you had the full amount of money. So that's a huge issue. So you got to get the 12 appropriation bills done immediately and make sure that they're done and signed and passed through Congress and passed through Senate so that the president can sign off on them. That's not being done, and I would not support any CRs, period. We have to get that done. That's across the board, military and federal agencies.
Well, that was a 2-part. Did you read it?
Yep, it's a 2-part. How would you lead your House colleagues in zero baseline budgeting instead of simply increasing previous year's budget? And how many terms will you consider enough?
I'll start with the second one last, which You got
Did
yours
you
on
turn
again?
yours on?
Good.
All right, am I good now?
Yes.
I start my clock over again. So, and I said to begin with 12 years, that's plenty. Unless you guys decide to throw me out sooner, in which case you have that option every 2 years. So 12 years is plenty. If you haven't got it done by then, yeah, probably time to look elsewhere. So for the budgeting, one of the biggest threats we're facing right now is the deficit spending. So that's the start and it's working behind the scenes as two types of leadership. One is formal, one is informal. The informal is going behind the scenes within these caucuses and talking to folks. We have got to get this deficit spending under control. That is probably a bigger threat to this nation than anything. So working behind the scenes with the caucuses, with all of them, it's door knocking time, and we've got to get this under control, regardless of where we're spending the money. And then on the more formal part is calling them out. We have got to start being very vocal about the spending, and that's what we're getting now. Is our representative is saying yes to the continuing resolutions. I'm a no. These need to be 12 separate bills and voted that way. And nobody goes home until you've done your job. That's how it should be. So within that leadership, that's where you do it. Is you stay there until it's done. And so get the deficit spending under control, and then we take a look and make the federal government live within its means. And that's how it's done. Again, start peeling back the unconstitutional stuff. Up to 90% of what we have allowed our federal government to do is unconstitutional. So that's how we peel back. And it's a leadership thing that we're not seeing now. And that was our representative is currently now started voting yes on raising the debt ceiling. Absolutely no. Please, if you see me vote yes on raising the doggone debt ceiling, next, get me out. Get me out. I've been compromised. So I would appreciate that. So that's how we work on that.
Yeah.
Thank you, correct. So I know that Mr. Jones didn't get to answers, but you can answer it in your questions. Real quick.
Term limits was.
1 minute.
Yes,
I'll give you 1 minute.
that's fine.
Yeah.
That's all I need. He's been in Congress now 16 years. That's all you need to know as far as term limits. As far as myself, what I would do, I would do no more than 3 terms. That's 6 years, period. That's plenty. However, for continuity purpose, if you're elected to like the whip or, the majority leader or something like that, then you're gonna, I would say that those positions get longer. Other than that, I'm at 3 terms, and that's 6 years, by the way. A term is 2 years, so,
Thank you.
yes.
Leave it there.
All right, this is gonna be another 2-parter, so we can get through these questions.
Am I up?
Yes, you are. You got the, look,
Oh, I got
if you see the gap, remember,
Hey, listen.
gentlemen, don't turn that
Get my
mic
mic
off.
on. Let's go.
Okay. What is your plan to protect yourself from being more influenced by lobbyists than by your constituents? And then 2, what will be your plan to eliminate departments, bureaus, administrations, and other government functions that exceed constitutionally mandated powers?
Okay. So to protect myself from attacks, is that in the outside
Yeah, the
influences?
lobbyists.
Is that right?
Yeah, the lobbyists.
Okay, perfect. That's my commitment, again, back to you. And it's a portion of the NCO creed in the Army is I will not compromise my integrity nor my moral courage. And I absolutely will not compromise on that. I will not take APAC money. I will be very selective with any type of PAC money that I accept. I'll give an example of a PAC that I would consider, and that's pretty much 2A absolutists, which my thought on it is it says what it says, and that's the baseline. The 1934 National Firearms Act, 1968 Gun Control Act are both unconstitutional. So let's work to get rid of that mess. So that's how I protect myself. That and you, the team that I put together and I put together, having my number, like, what are you doing? Knock it off. And then the folks in the district staying involved, staying engaged. And if you see that, then it's time to head down the road. So, but I know personally, I will not compromise on that. You will not get me, like I said, the APAC pops to my mind. Pharmaceuticals, there's also PACs out there that play both sides of the fence. You can look at our incumbent, his FEC filings, and he's taking money from an organization that plays both sides. No, thank you. And then the unconstitutional stuff, it's back to that leadership within there and going knocking on doors and explaining, let's talk Constitution. Because the representative we have now, you go check the 99.7, he's in very recent interviews where he can't even tell you where they're getting the authority, and some of it they're trying to shoehorn it in and make it fit. He can't even tell you where that stuff is coming from and why they voted somewhere. So again, back to talking to folks about the Constitution and getting the government within its means. And then, like I said, protecting myself from it, that's how I live my life, not compromising my integrity nor my moral courage. And I think that's where it stands is moral courage to say no to that stuff. And send the money back if they do happen to drop it in there, because I mean, that's a thing. If you contribute to the campaign through WinRed, or you start seeing PACs that are running ads like, nope, I am not with them. So that is how I protect myself and the unconstitutional stuff that the government is doing. Thank you.
As far as lobbyists, as I said before, I said that we needed to get big pharma and those such people out of the pockets of our elected leaders. And again, morals and integrity come first. And I have not accepted any money from anyone. I'm not to be bought. Okay, I'm here to represent the Tennessee District 4, and my morals and my values are much higher than that. I'm retired military, retired firefighter, retired civil service. I don't need the money. Not like that. Okay. I'm not going to go to DC and stay there forever. I've lived there. In the Air Force, I was at the Air Force Operations Center at the headquarters. I did my time at the Pentagon and I got out. That's just what these people should do as well. Go do your time. You don't need to be with these lobbyists and collecting money to be able to vote and do your job. And your job is to take care of Tennessee District 4, period. That's it. Everything else on the national level, yes, we're taking care of the Americans overall. There's a finite amount of stuff that a congressman does versus what states, Congress and state Senate does. Okay, there's quite a bit of a difference there. But the lobbyists are in both, and that's not good. We need to take that money out. So again, I would sign or vote for legislation that where you can't accept money from lobbyists, big pharmaceuticals, any of that type of stuff. And then the second question.
Second question was, what will be your plan to eliminate departments, bureaus, administrations, and other government functions that exceed constitutionally mandated powers?
That's a good one. Does anybody know how many federal agencies there are in the United States government? It's nearly 400 agencies. Do we need that many agencies within the United States government to do what we do? No, we don't. I just retired being a federal service worker. I know where the cuts can come, and I know where we can save money as well. If you send me, that's what I'll do.
I'm sorry. Okay. How would you have handled the slush fund for sexual harassment claims?
Oh, I love this question.
Dun, 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 dun.
So this is one of the reasons why I ran, or why I decided to run. I did not see Mr. Tom Davis on any thing at the time saying who was running. The only two people I knew that were running were Scott Desjardins and also the former Rutherford County Sheriff, Arnold. And I looked at that and I was like, we gotta have better people than that to run. And you only have a certain amount of time and before the signatures needed to be turned in. I'm running for alderman for Manchester, Tennessee, and then I got caught up with, hey, you can do this too. You got a background and you got a big mouth. Go use it. No, that should have been passed. Yeah. Passed that vote. He voted to keep that in-house so that we can't see what the sexual misconducts are of the congressmen and stuff like that. That's what we're talking about. No way. You gotta give out that information. I've been married 29 years. You can go look at my background all you want. Morals and integrity.
There you go.
Yeah, they sent this House resolution, in essence, killed it. I would have voted yes to release those records. Interesting to me that they talked about the victims, and there was stuff in it. It's a very short thing if you go read that House resolution. But they said, yeah, we're going to redact all the victims' information. But and they also talked about the excuse was due process, which I don't know if you've heard of this guy Joe Kent, who just resigned, regardless of what you feel about him. We're not seeing him cry about his due process when we find out that he's under investigation. So no, absolutely not. And it's up to, I heard actually it was Tim Burchett talking about 17 million of our tax dollars have been used to cover up sexual improprieties. I don't know. I read the Constitution fairly regularly, and I have yet to find that to be an appropriate use of our tax dollars. So to me, that vote alone is enough. He said I would have been a yes. It's like, yeah, let's do that. You should be able to know if they're under investigation. It comes out, they're cleared, it's fine. And in that position, I think that should be an expectation that you should be held to a higher standard. And unfortunately, they're typically not, and they run cover for each other. And that's the other interesting thing to me about this is you'll see, and this goes for both parties. If they vote with the other party, they start hammering them, right? Oh my gosh, he's voting with the Democrats. They all voted together. This is the biggest vote they had, and Democrat, Republican. I mean, it was 65 of them. It was all that voted to try and release those records. And nobody's screaming, oh my gosh, they voted with the Democrats. Yeah, because they're all in on it up there. So yeah, let's get rid of that mess. Let's have that transparency, and I'll bring it up again. So that's how we answer that question. Thank you.
All right, next up. If you have 12 years, how do you hope to get to 2 constitutional and functional state and federal involvement, and how do you plan to execute it in your allotted time?
How do we get back to the Constitution?
How do you hope to get to constitutional and functional state federal involvement?
Senators won't sit down with the legislature.
How do you get that?
Essentially, how do you get everyone on board, Tom?
Okay, so and this is it's a process, and again to the leadership, you got to go around and actually talk to them. What we see a lot now is we've become so divided as a country, and it's by design. It's to keep us out here, bashing each other, and they sit up there and tell us they're going to do things and don't. So that's some of that behind the scenes work. And going and talking to these folks, like what, and going with a copy of the Constitution in my hand, and like, okay, where are we at? How do we see this as being constitutional? And you'll look back at it, a lot of the reason that some of this stuff has happened is poor legislation. So again, we split the stuff out, single item bills, and press on the leadership, the House, our speaker and whoever to sit down and hash this stuff out. But we can look at the legislation. A lot of it from the 70s was no good, and they've abdicated a lot of their responsibilities. So we claw that stuff back and get back to constitutional. It's a long process. I can't promise in 12 years that we'll be back to it, but I will work every day to get there and push us back to more of what the Constitution was, which was less government, and get the federal government within its boundaries, because it's a contract and they are way outside of their bounds of the contract. We got the electrician doing plumbing, and it's not turning out well for us. So I work on that. That was just the one.
No, you did it. You did it. Do you need me to reread it, Rocky?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, well, go ahead.
If you have 12 years, how do you hope to get back to constitutional and functional state and federal involvement? And how do you plan to execute it in your allotted time?
Okay. So, number one, I don't think I would do 12 years in Congress, number one. But we have to work across the lines. We have to be able to speak to each other. However, I'm a solid red vote when it comes to the platform for the Republicans. Okay, I will work across the lines, and if it makes sense, then we all go together with that. But one of the problems that we have and why we have the divide is because we have people that have been in Congress 38, 39, 40 years, and they hold the seniority like, here, you're coming in and you can go over to this little committee over here unless you vote along with whatever I tell you to vote, and then you can get on a good committee. That's wrong. We need those people voted out. That's what's holding up the swinging so far left, so far right, and then there's no compromise down the middle. I mean, right now, it's 50-50 in the United States when it comes to parties and what their beliefs are. And that's what Congress is basically made up of. It's 50-50 right down the line pretty much. And you're gonna have to cross the line. The government wasn't designed to move fast and make big changes. It was to slow things down. That's why we have a filibuster. That's why the 60 vote rule is in the Senate and so forth. Yeah, you can go to Congress and pass a bill by one vote, but once it gets to the Senate, that's why everything is held up at the Senate right now. But you have to be able to work across the lines, and you have to keep the pressure on like they're doing, and get those bills passed eventually. It hurts, being in a shutdown when you're a federal worker, but again, when you're a patriot, and you're gonna go to work and you're gonna do your job. I've done this many a times throughout my 38 years in working with the government and not getting a paycheck because the yahoos up in DC can't get their heads out of their butts. That's it.
Okay, this is the last question to share with you guys, and then we have 2 questions for Mr. Jones and 1 for Tom specifically, so that's why I did what I did. This question goes to Mr. Jones. Compare how you plan to vote with Thomas Mosey, or Mossy? Massey, sorry.
Thomas Massey.
Thomas Massey, is that the congressman out of
Kentucky.
Kentucky? Yeah, that's what I thought it was. And how would I vote with him?
Compare how you plan to vote with him.
With him. I'm my own person. I'm gonna have my own vote. When I say I'm my own person, but my vote is going to be based on what Tennessee District 4 wants and what's best for Tennessee District 4. I don't care what Thomas Massey is doing. I'm gonna make sure that, I'm bringing back for Tennessee and what our constituents need here locally. On the federal level, like I said, I'm a solid red vote across the board, pro-2A, pro-life. Like I said, all that is the norm for me. That's what's comfortable to me in my background. However, I'm not worried about what somebody else is doing as far as votes.
Yeah, we'll go with Tom.
Well, I gotta answer that one.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tom.
Wow,
My bad.
all right.
Apologies.
Yeah, no worries. So I think he's got it right most of the times, but it is about representing this district. So if the district has something different, then that's where the vote is. And this is one of the ones I was kind of talking about where the party is hammering him when he really got it right in a lot of these and constitutional. And that's where it comes back to a lot of these votes is with the Constitution. And if we get so far apart as your representative in the district, then it's time for one of us to go. And the one of us is probably me. So, and that's where my principles lies with the Constitution. And then representing this district and representing them constitutionally or representing us in the Constitution in Washington, D.C. So I think some of those votes would align with him. Some of them may not. I can't think of one off the top of my head. I'm not tracking how he votes. I'm tracking how our representative votes and how I differ with him. So that one's also kind of hard to say too, as far as how I would line up with him. So like I said, first you represent the Constitution and our constitutional interest in Washington, D.C. and how the district is voting. Or and that's how you get that feel is by being in the district, doing town halls and talking with folks and getting that feel for the district and across the whole district. You can do polls and on social media we do have that. So it would depend on the district and where we are constitutionally for now. I would see Thomas Massey. So, thank you.
Okay, because of the time shortage, I want to first and foremost say thank you for all coming here. But I am going to read these, and if you're still here, because these were questions specifically for Mr. Jones and one for Mr. Davis. If you're still here, I encourage you to go outside, talk, because I know we have to wrap this up. So the question to Mr. Davis is, if you could fix taxes under ideal circumstances, how would you do it, and how would it affect me? No,
Okay.
yeah, you're gonna, if that is you and you're still in the stream, please go up and talk to him after this. And then the two questions to Mr. Rocky is, and they said they are on this one, they said, but would also like Tom's opinion on it, so make sure you check in with him. Rocky's Facebook page says he will fight for true school choice. What does he mean by true school choice? And the other question to Mr. Jones was, why did you decide to get in race, or the race so late? Is that how you said it?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Okay. And so I do want to say thank you for everybody coming, but let him come and address y'all individually on that one. But again, I am Kelly Walker Slaughter, and this is Warren First 931. I want to thank Tom Davis and also Harold Rocky Jones for.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And yeah, you shake your head too. Like, yeah, I've been like go back and forth. And everybody, that is a wrap for this Coffee County Town Hall Meeting 2026.